Should children receive extrinsic rewards for learning? No. But to understand this, we need to understand what an extrinsic reward is. In the case of a classroom setting, an extrinsic reward is a source of motivation that is meant to entice a student to act or perform a task in a certain way in order to receive an award. This can be seen as a pizza coupon for reading books or tokens for good behavior. They are objects or fun activities that represent finishing the lesson. The other side of an extrinsic reward is an intrinsic reward. This is a self-motivated accomplishment resulting from reaching goals by the sheer desire of a student's own personal drive and curiosity. As teachers, it should be clear which type of students you want in your classroom. The type that will work for treats, or the type that works because they are engaged and interested in what they are doing. What this boils down to is that with extrinsic motivation, we are teaching students how to finish a task or how to meet basic requirements. Here's an example. Take a few seconds to remember the words on these cards. Now, can you tell me what color of card the word dog was on? If not, it's because you were told to just remember the words. You weren't fully engaged in the moment or the lesson. This is an example of how learning should be a continuous process, not just reaching a goal. Had I just shown you the cards and said, "What can you tell me about these cards?" This requires dissecting the entire card by shape, size, color, and content. Since your brain is intrinsically involved in dissecting it, you're not extrinsically motivated to just give the answer. Having a reduced intrinsic motivation produces achievement deficits, meaning if students have no personal connection to what they're doing, they will not likely be fully engaged in their cognitive ability. But how do we make kids want to care? One solution is to start them early before they get hooked on reward systems. One method to defeating the need for trinkets and praise is in the Montessori school system. The basics behind this is using a student's own natural ability, independence, kinship, and interest to motivate them to reach their goals. The teacher, or in the Montessori school system they call them guides, is often in a small group setting guiding students in discussions about their work. The students often are in pre-elementary school age and they are free to go find their own work and figure things out on their own. Here they learn to attribute success and failure through their own actions based on direct experience and with consequences of their own decisions. There are no rewards or grades, just an understanding of concepts through making their own connections and finding a project that keeps them intrinsically motivated. Higher levels of interest are associated with higher cognitive engagement. This results in more learning, which results in higher levels of achievement. No rewards needed if you keep students engaged. This shows that from birth we are able to motivate ourselves to learn, but somewhere we lose our drive and school begins to use trinkets to get us back on track. The schools that I have been to during my time at Mount Mercy have all used some sort of extrinsic reward system. I noticed a trinket system being used in a Tier 1 behavior room. This was used to correct previously learned undesirable behavior and to reward good behavior. Similar to Skinner's experiment in correcting the boys to become upstanding citizens. However, let's not forget that behaviorism is closely linked with the idea of "I want the result." So, according to Skinner, any act that produces a satisfying effect in the given situation will be repeated. Why is it repeated? To earn the reward. Was anything learned on a deep cognitive belief? This sounds similar to come to class, take notes, remember notes, recite notes, earn a good grade, or an extrinsic reward. And speaking of grades, are grades considered an extrinsic reward? Is it possible to plug and chug your way to meet the standards and leave with no deeper understanding of the concept? Can an extrinsic reward create new ideas? Plug and chug needs to change to how can I teach this class in a way that develops further creative thinking? Without intrinsic motivation, our future will be stuck in a rut because if we only teach flat facts and rote memory, nothing will be taken apart and further developed. Extrinsic motivation fosters that idea of reaching checkpoints to get by. Now going back to Skinner, his experiment used extrinsic rewards to train the boys in classical conditioning. Did this method teach new ideas? Or how can we prove the boys are not simply reciting and acting? Is it possible the boys were faking a corrective behavior? Therefore, who is really training who? To me, it looks like the boys were training Skinner to give them reward tickets. Students can train teachers to give them trinkets and tickets when they see them performing in a certain way. Rewards share the same spectrum as punishment. They are two sides of the same coin. Both are used to elicit the type of behavior which the natural field forces of the movement will not produce, leading to more treats and threats. Students are excessively controlled, which forces them to become a lost learner. With extrinsic motivation, we are working against the grain. With each reward, we are feeling a method that will blow up in our face. When students start to ask, "Will this be on the test?" that shows that they only care about stuff that will be on the test. At this point, the teacher has lost their intrinsic motivation, and there is nothing engaging students' creativity, and they couldn't care less if you're lecturing with your pants on fire. Extrinsic rewards cause students to fake what they know, and they end up not liking school because they have no personal interest or connections to intrinsically motivate them.